What's up guys, Bloodshed here. Welcome to the Barbarian Starter Survival Guide for Diablo 3, patch 267 in season Sweet 19. If you didn't hear and you missed the news, the Lamentation Belt got reverted back to 150% for Rend. So Barb is essentially back to its former glory. It's going to be God mode, S tier build, super duper strong. It's about 1.5 GRs weaker from what we can see than the original PTR buff. So it's basically back, and we're gonna run speeds next season with Barb. Everything, all's well that ends well. So shout out to Blizzard for listening to the community and reverting the change. Barb's in a dope spot. There will be timestamps in the description because I'm gonna cover a lot of different topics here. So you can just click to wherever you're at in the season and jump to that portion. If you don't know what these videos are, they're like limited gameplay videos. It's more of me theory crafting what to do each step of the way and give you like a handbook or a survival guide on the season for this particular class. The best way to start any season is to not do your challenge rift. The challenge rift resets next week. That would be the 18th whenever you're watching this. That would be November 18th. If you save it and you don't complete it till after the season starts, right? You get these goodies right here, and they really help your season out tremendously. Getting gold, you can buy anything you want with the Death's Breaths, and the gold you can unlock all your professions, all 3 masteries all the way, and you can cube stuff with the cube items here. You can cube a bunch of stuff, right? And yeah, you have blood shards and all that. So you basically have a nice little welcome package every single season if you save your challenge rift cash. And that's what these videos are based off of, is that you save this. We've been doing this since season 12, which is about over 2 years, right? I think it's season 12 was until, yeah, like over 2 years we've been doing this. So save your cash, okay? So with Barbarian, what we're gonna do is roll our blood shards at level 1. So we have 475 right out the gate. Here's a Barbarian, you set it to level 1. The reason why we're rolling them at level 1 is because it severely limits the item pool. Look at the belts available at level 1. If you go to level 70, there's a bunch of belts. So it's kind of like a way to a clever use of blood shard mechanics where you can manipulate the item pool by rolling them at various levels. So what I recommend with level 1 is to roll for bracers, because all you got to do is get one and you get a 500% multiplier on Seismic Slam and Hammer of the Ancients. You're pretty much guaranteed to get one of these, but if you don't get one, don't worry. All my survival guides are based on not getting these. This is just like an extra thing, okay? For the Hoda, I would focus on Rolling Thunder, even though it does less damage than Smash because you have a bigger AoE while leveling. You can keep up those massacre bonuses if you're solo, or if you're in rifts, you can keep up your seasonal theme bonus. I'd go with Rolling Thunder, and for Seismic Slam, you already have a huge AoE radius in front of you. I'd probably focus on the first rune again, which is Stagger. It reduces the cost to 22 because you're gonna be Fury Starved. Even though you have these bracers, you're still gonna be Fury Starved. So I would make my entire build based around getting Fury back. That way you can just be efficient with your 500%. But you can probably use those bracers all the way to the GR20 clear till you get your 6-piece with Whirlwind set. So you're pretty much set. Barb has one of the easiest starts every season because they give you basically a guaranteed multiplier at level 1. For the lucky few that gets their bracers on the first or second or third roll, you still have 400 blood shards left. What would you roll for? There might be some savages that roll for weapons. I never recommend this. I only recommend rolling for 25 value items. It's a total gamble. It costs way too much, but somebody's gonna be successful if they do it, right? I personally recommend you go for, if you're doing massacre bonuses, you go for the pants. That is Pox Faults. I think that's gonna be the absolute best thing. Even if you're in a group, having another 500% multiplier, AoE when there's enemies around you is super good. On hardcore, sometimes you get trapped. You get kind of surrounded by enemies and you have no movement ability early on. Poxfalls has saved me a bunch of times playing hardcore as well, just because it kills the enemies and gives you some space to get out of there. You can also roll for Band of Might. You have a 1 in 2 chance to get it at level 1. This is what I would do later on also. So I would go back after I hit 70, I would make another Barb alt at level 1 and then roll for Band of Might, because it's just crazy easier to get on a level 1 character versus rolling it at level 70, like we talked about, where you have 20 plus rings in the item pool. But right now there's only 2. As you're leveling through the game, you obviously would build around your bracers that we talked about, whether it's Hoda, Hammer of the Ancients, or Seismic Slam. If you don't get the bracers, then you can focus on Whirlwind, and Rend is really good. Rend scales beautifully all the way up until T7, T11 if you don't have any multipliers on it. Rend is really good actually early game. It's hard to use Rend and a big spender if you have the bracers because you're spending resource 20 and this also costs 20 resource. So you kind of have to pick when you're low level leveling and you don't have that much going for you in terms of resource regeneration. All right, let's do a 1 to 70 leveling recap for everybody. So you make your character, you set it to adventure mode, which you can do every single season. You don't have to do the campaign if you're playing during an active season. I would set it to at least hard difficulty for everybody. Log in. Immediately grab your follower weapon. It depends on what class you're playing. Enchantress, Templar, or Scoundrel might be better for you. I'm going to go to the Templar. I'm going to hire him also, and I'm going to swap weapons with him. His weapon is way better. It actually varies, but right now you can see he has 68 damage. And mine is 2 to 3 damage. So it's like double my DPS. You can also swap shields. You can hit F1 on your keyboard, equip whatever wings you want for the season, whatever pet to help you pick up gold on your travels. From here, I like to immediately log out and go do the challenge rift. Do that whether you're doing it solo or in a group, and then immediately log back in. You're level 1. You can open up your challenge rift bag right now if that's what the guide tells you to do. Every character is going to have maybe a different strategy every season. But yeah, then you run to Kadath, spend your shards here. If you get the item you want, I would put it in my stash space if you're on hardcore, because if you die, then you'll lose it, you know, mess up your whole start. If you're on softcore, you can just leave it in your inventory till 16, or you can throw it in your stash, obviously. What I do right here at level 1, after I spend my blood shards, is I go look for a boss bounty. You ideally want a Zoltan cool bounty, so it'll say like kill Zoltan, right? Or Magda's the second best. It'll say kill Magda. The only third one I really like is Azmodan, and we didn't get any of them, right? So if you get any of those 3, I would go do it. But if you don't get it, you can always just literally go to Act 1 and go to Halls of Agony 3, and I would do 3, and then 2, and then 1. If you're on softcore, you could also go to Act 2, Temple of the Firstborn. There's tons of density here, and you should get to level 8 really quickly. You could also flip it once or twice, especially if you have like an SSD on your PC or something. It doesn't take that long to just relog in, you know, or if you're in a 4-player group, you say, hey guys, let's relog and look for Zoltan. Or all 4 of you guys can do it separately, and whoever gets Zoltan or Magda invites everyone to their group. That's even way more efficient because you have 4 times the chances, right? So you can see right here it says Zoltan Cool and kill Zoltan Cool. So we got the bounty. We're still level 1. We're gonna jump over here. The reason why it's so important is because you get a Horadric cache attached to it. And we have a souped up weapon from our Templar, so it should be really easy. Let's go do Zoltan here. I have my hands on the keyboard. Okay, let's go. And another trick is when you kill the ads, either Magda or Zoltan, with Magda, you don't get the XP until they fully form. Like the ads have like this weird thing where they spawn in. Once they fully spawn in, you get XP from them. And the golems, you get XP right away. You're killing the golems and you level, and your level up explosion actually does tons of damage, and you actually kill Zoltan with your explosion. So I'll show you. So I'm hitting him and boom, right? You get this huge AoE pop. So you want to kill the golem around the density, so when you level up, you get that huge explosion. It kills everything, just like that. But this whole process is literally less than a minute. You just look for the bounty, you don't have it, you relog. Okay, there's Zoltan or Magda, boom, you run to it, and then you kill it, and then that's it. And then all of a sudden you have, you know, I got 3 pants. So normally you don't get 3 pairs of pants. And a lot of times you get weapons from this. So there's a weapon right off the bat right here, right? So it's unfortunately the one weapon we can't use, but we also did end up at level 3. You can actually do this higher difficulty than hard, but I recommend do it on hard unless you're a veteran. So you hit level 8, that's really important because that's when we're gonna craft a weapon or a bow. You wanna head to the blacksmith. You can see we have a level 8 bow available, and we should have a level 8 two-handed axe. It's really cheap, it only costs 4 reusable parts and 4 arcane dust. You can see all the materials I have. I have plenty of stuff to make it. The axe is about a 96% upgrade. It's at least double the damage from what I had. Make sure you check back every 5 levels or so. That's the only thing you need to keep updated. Your gear is gonna constantly fall behind, don't worry about it. I personally just like to do rifts from level 8 all the way to 70. I feel like I get better legendaries, better loot, I'm better equipped for the whole game basically. I have lots of crafting materials and things like that to get me going. So I recommend rifts. You can even do rifts from level 1. You don't have to get to level 8 quickly with the halls method. If you're in a 4-player group, you can jump right into rifts from the beginning. You don't even have to try to run to other places and do these massacres or run to the cube. You can literally just do rifts, right? So that's just my leveling path. I grab the follower weapon, I go get a boss bounty, and then I go to the Halls of Agony to level 8. At level 8, I craft my big weapon, and then with that weapon, I'm able to do rifts the rest of the way. When you hit level 10 or so, you can buy rings and amulets, and since we got like 5 million from the challenge rift bag, we can easily afford them. When you hit level 10 or so, rings and amulets become available. That's huge for us. They have plus damage on them. And since we got 5 million from our challenge rift bag, we can basically afford anything, right? The easiest ones I like to check is in Act 5 and Act 2. Act 5, it's right here, right by the waypoint. But in all acts, they have a fence in their name. And even if you look at the mini map, you can see it says fence on the mini map also. Like I said, you want to look for things with plus damage on them, and it gives you a huge DPS increase. But honestly, any ring is good. It's better than what you have. And again, we have so much money, you might as well buy them anyway. While you're leveling, the red gems are way more important than anything else. They give you that plus damage, like we talked about on your amulet. You socket them into your weapon. And you also put them in your helmet. If you have a socket in your helm, it gives you a bonus to XP gain. It's always a good idea to save legendaries that you get along the way that have multipliers on them. Like this new item, Remorseless, it gives you a huge damage increase to Hoda. Even low level legendaries can be cubed for their maximum value later on if you want to do so, because you never know what you're going to build into. Even better, they increase the drop chance of the Legacy of Dream Gem. So you should get this on your 2nd or 3rd Greater Rift at level 70. What this does is it allows us to play without sets. You can see even at rank 0, it gives you damage for each legendary item you have equipped. So if you have like a hodgepodge collection of legendaries, you can throw on a bunch of like mid to low level gear and get like a damage bonus right when you hit 70, like after 1 or 2 little baby GRs. It's a really beautiful progression path. If you get it to 25, you get almost 100% damage for each item, and it's doubled for ancients. I'm not saying hoard everything, but if you do, you can actually use the Lod Gem early with all your stuff. Remember, we have tons of materials to make items with, and we have over 25 Death's Breath. What that means is we can do something in the cube called the Hope of Cain recipe. So we can take a level 70 item and upgrade it at level 30. Again, remember, we have DBs and gold and all that stuff, so we can max out our blacksmith at level 1 if we wanted to. The reason why we're upgrading weapons at level 30 is because there's a small chance it can be ancient. And if it is ancient, there's a small chance you can get reduced level requirement by 40. So non-ancients and yellow weapons can only get 30, but an actual ancient item can get -40 reduced level requirement, which means you can equip a level 70 weapon for the lucky few out there at level 30, and that's just insane DPS. And yeah, you could probably bump it up to like T6. If you're a hardcore, maybe like T3 the rest of the way, you're good to go. So every class is gonna vary on what the best thing to upgrade is and go for. That's totally up to you. I'll tell you my recommendations. So we're upgrading level 70 items. So you bring up the level 70 calculator and you look at what's available. There's some good mighty weapons that you can get. I would go for one-handed mighty weapons. They buff the Remorseless, there's a multiplier on it. The Oathkeeper has a multiplier on it. That's 2 good ones. The Fjord Cutter has a multiplier on it. Dishonored Legacy allows Cleave to do more damage, so there's another multiplier with Legacy. The BK weapons basically are not going to help you, but at level 70, you would be halfway toward your Whirlwind speed build. So even though you wouldn't be able to use them right away, you would be able to really use them later on. Blade of the Warlord, Bash consumes Fury and deals damage. So there's 5 with a multiplier, and then of course Ambos is the big money maker. So you have 6 possible outcomes. There's a really good chance you'll get something decent to help you on your journey, right? At least when you hit 70, you have something to build off of, or you can cube it if you wanted. That's another thing you can do right away, is just cube that bad boy, and then you have something at level 30 or whenever you get the cube. You can even do the upgrade at level 1. You can run and get your cube, come back, and do the Hope of Cain recipe right away. You could do that as well. But at level 30, I usually don't need that much help to level 30, and put the options there for you guys to do that. Yeah, Ambos is the big money maker. Whirlwind applies rend, and the total damage of the rend is dealt over 1 second. This is one reason why it makes Barb so strong this season. Since we're here messing with the cube doing upgrades, we might as well make our level 70 weapon with reduced level requirement. I like to make a two-handed mace for a Barbarian, specifically for a lot of classes. Mace doesn't have a lot of secondary effects that kind of clog up your reduced level requirement on it. And one thing you want to look for is you want crowd control as a secondary, and you want life on hit would be the dream, but you're not always going to get it. The reason why you want crowd control as a secondary, look at all these different effects here. So yeah, you just want to make sure you have immobilize on hit, and then you want to roll off the other thing. So we're going to leave on crowd control because we don't want to have to battle all the other crowd control. But if you had life on hit on your weapon, then you wouldn't have it as a secondary also. So if you're confused at this point, make a level 70 weapon, leave on the crowd control. If you don't get crowd control on your secondaries, make another one, and then roll off whatever the other thing is. Whether it's monsters grant experience, whether it's durability loss, whether it's life after kill even, you would roll it off to get reduced level requirement. So hopefully I don't get something really good here because it'll ruin my whole season. Yes, continue. And you would do this, probably, we got 20, that's a nice one to get. So we got reduced level requirement by 20. You would do this like maybe 4 times based on gold, 4 to 6 times, and then make another one and do it. Because you don't want the gold cost is gonna ramp up, and we only have like 5 million gold. So you wanna balance out your gold more than anything. You won't actually run out of materials. So I got negative 20, I can equip this at level 50. So it's not the absolute best, but at level 50, I get to use a level 70 item and I'll be literally crushing it. You typically don't wanna do class weapons because they have this thing on a secondary called Maximum Fury. You can see, you can't see it right there, but you can see on the bottom of the item, it shows Maximum Fury, you know, Witch Doctor, Ceremonial Daggers, any of the class specific items just give you more things that can muddle it up when you're trying to get reduced level requirement. That's why I pretty much use a two-handed mace on every class. As you're leveling, you get to like level 60, level 61, level 62, start thinking about jewelry. You want double crit everywhere, basically. Double crit main stat on all of your items. You want to be able to hit and crit often and have a lot of weight behind it by stacking your main stat. Just these raw stats really propel you through the early game till you get your 6-piece from Hadrig. All right, congratulations, you finally hit level 70 after what seems like forever, but it's just a small drop in the bucket and you get to a bigger season, okay? This is my favorite Barb starter build with no multiplier. Remember, if you got your bracers, you're gonna be focusing on that since you're getting a huge multiplier with it. This is just, if you were just the unluckiest person on the planet, you're just gonna use Rend Lacerate to carry you and the Wind Shear rune with Whirlwind. And you should be able to do T1 with this setup. We're using the two-handed mighty weapon to scale, Rend scales off your main hand damage. So we're getting big Rend chunks even with nothing beneficial in the cube. You can see I have nothing that affects the testing whatsoever. I would say don't even focus on T1 that much. You really just want to get to your seasonal journey. I'll have a build link in the description if you need it for the starter, the yellow starter build with nothing. So the 2-piece for the Wrath of the Waste set, which we're all going to be playing Barb next season, let's be honest, does 500% and increases its duration to 15 seconds. So we're getting a nice multiplier on Rend. So the goal is to literally get the 2-piece. The 2-piece is really easy to do. The first Hadrig, so the 2-piece set, is to do all these tasks right here. And you can see like, you just have to do these and you get your 2-piece. So it's just like unlock the cube, kill bosses on hard difficulty, unlock all your professions, which we do at level 1, fully equip your follower. You can actually give the follower all your equipment. You might have to craft his specific offhand item, but you can give him all your gear, get the achievement, and then take it all off and then take it from him. Enchant item at the Mystic, transmogrify, all this stuff is super easy. Do 5 bounties. You can do 5 bounties while leveling, or right when you hit 70, you might want to do it for the Ring of Royal Grandeur or something. Just do Act 1. Act 1 is really quick, and you'll get them done really fast that way. And socket 5 gems. All this stuff is super easy. You just want to basically power to this, and you only have to be on expert. So even though I said this is Torment 1 viable, you might just want to do this on expert just to get it efficient. You know, maybe do it on master or hard or whatever difficulty you want. You don't even have to do it on torment. Once you get your 2-piece, you'll be crushing it. So let me just show you before and after effect really quick. So we're on T1 right now. You can see my main stat is super low. Like this is just starter gear that I made on my character. So we're just gonna basically whirlwind and throw out rends here and there. We're using the lightning rune with wind shear, so you basically have infinite fury. And you can see even with nothing, you should be okay on T1. Like it's obviously not the most highest kill speed build ever, but if you're unlucky and you get no bracers or anything, you should be totally fine. You just ground stomp, group them up, hit them with that rend, and they just bleed. So now what happens when we go through our just a few challenges, we just spend like maybe 20 minutes or less, and we get our 2-piece, get a non-ancient version of it. So there's a non-ancient 2-piece set. Now when we're rending, we're getting 500% multiplier on everything. And you can see things just start to shred even easier. So it's basically the same build. And now you basically have an easy time for your GR20 clear. You have an easy time the rest of the way. Barb has a really powerful start, and it pretty much every season has like one of the best starts. You can see it just bleed, bleed, bleed. Rend and then watch them die. Yes, the deep wound effect. And then it's further amplified by like Ambo's Pride we talked about. The Lamentation Belt got the multiplier back like we talked about. So you should be crushing it the rest of the way. I'll have links and everything in the description of the video. We still got a lot more to talk about today, but I'm just saying like you're good to go from this point. You just want to rush and get that 2-piece and you should have no problem. So you're going through, you know, you're doing your season journey. Like what are some tips and tricks along the way as you're unlocking your 4-piece and getting ready for your GR20 clear? Well, the first greater riff you do every single season, you get Bane of the Powerful, which is a really, really good gem. It basically gives you a flat 20% damage increase, as you can see right here. You can make sure you join your group or go solo Malthael on any difficulty at level 70, and you can get Reaper's Wraps. Reaper's Wraps are craftable at the blacksmith, they're bracers, and they give you resource. So if you're struggling on resource, you shouldn't be, but if you are, you can always grab them. If you're playing Hoda or Seismic Slam version of the starter build, then yeah, I mean, you're probably struggling because they hit so hard and they're very resource intensive. Don't forget you get your Legacy a Dream Gem early if you want to go like a LOD start or something like that. Also, as soon as you fully unlock your blacksmith, like at level 1, actually this new Sage set becomes available. Sage set isn't a droppable pattern anymore. It's built into Haedrig, or it's built into the blacksmith. So as soon as you max out the blacksmith, the Sage set is available. So you can actually do like a 2-piece whirlwind and you can fill the rest out with your Sage set. And then, you know, the challenge rip bag gives us those materials to make them. So you can actually make a Sage build before you even do your GR20 build, like right when you hit 70. So it's pretty cool. Don't forget, you can make a level 1 alt and roll for the rings like that. Bandamite's gonna make you just amazing. It's gonna just set it off, just set off your season. Make sure to do all your runs in 3 to 5 minutes. You want to focus on speeds along the way. It's just going to be more effective for you. People ask me a lot of time about what torment levels should you do early on, and this is a quick breakdown on that. So Torment 1 is your first big breakpoint. This is when set items start dropping, and that's your first goal, is to get T1 ready, which you basically are if you follow any of these starter guides, survival guides. And your second breakpoint that you want to shoot for is T7. You typically can get to T7 when you get your 6-piece set. Sometimes you can get it with your 4-piece if you have some multipliers to push you forward or some survivability. The reason why T7 is so much better than, say, T6 is it goes from 75% chance to get a DB to almost guaranteed to 90%. So if you can just squeeze a little bit farther, you can go to T7. It's a nice jump right there. And that's true with T11 versus T10. On T11, you basically have a guaranteed chance to get a second Death's Breath, versus T10, it's only 50. So it's like a coin flip, and then versus almost basically guaranteed. And I would honestly stick on T11 over all the other difficulties until you're T16 ready. Just because you're gonna get that second key or the second DB, you're gonna get the second key also. And if T11's great, you know, you're speed farming, you're cruising and bruising, and as soon as you feel like you're ready, you can go up gradually if you like, that's totally fine. But this is kind of what I think of in my mind every season. I have these like break points, or I have these goals rather. I'm like T1, T7, T11, and then T16. You're gonna be speed farming like crazy and all this stuff like we just talked about. You know what difficulty to be on. What are you gonna spend your shards on? Spend your shards on all things that cost 25 that you don't have. So we're getting a 6-piece set, so pretty much don't roll for set items. You'd roll for off pieces like your Lamentation Belt, right? The cost 25. Bracers, so you get Nemesis Bracers or Mortix Brace. Weapons are way too expensive. Rings are way too expensive. Amulets are too expensive. Focus on things for your cube. Maybe you go for shoulders, so you get Channeling Shoulders or Fury of the Ancient Shoulders. Things that are cheap, that can give you power to propel you to higher torments. More torments is more gear, and it kind of snowballs you into the season. So we got our 4-piece. I have nothing beneficial in the cube whatsoever. You can see my main stat is only 5k. This is just basically from starter gear. Another tip is to make a mighty belt. Don't do a regular belt. Mighty belts have life per fury on them. They give you just tons of survivability. Actually remove all our Paragon. I think I had movement speed on there because I didn't, yeah. Let's go, let's do a GR20. No Paragon was used in the making this video. No legendary gems. Nothing like that. Let me scroll down here to 20. I'm just gonna pop all my cooldowns right away because I'm here to do battle. You can see Barb is just a crazy strong start every season. You literally just go in here and you hit them with Rend. I mean, I guess we kind of demonstrated the 4-piece already, but this will have no problem getting you through the Rift Guardian, getting you through early game content until you get your 6-piece. I just mainly cast Rend. You can use 2 one-handers like we talked about, or oh, here's an elite. This will be good. Or a 2-hander for that extra scaling. I like 2-handers. I feel like it's cool, and unless I'm doing speeds. If I'm doing like extreme speeds, then I use like the BK weapons, but we don't have those yet. This is just a starter video. Looking for some more density so we can really show off the power of the early game. And you're pretty tanky. The 4-piece gives you damage reduction, and it persists for like 3 seconds after. Also, so you have for 3 seconds after you keep your 50% damage reduction, so you have like a built-in survivability to your 4-piece, so you don't even have to worry about this like lower level survivability. And we're just tanking it. Ground Stomp to pull them in. I like Wrenching Smash, and there you go, easy peasy. I basically use the same build for the 2, 4, and 6-piece Whirlwind set, since it's essentially the same type of play style. So this is the build. It'll be in the description again. You can screenshot it here if you like. You're gonna use this build until you start filling out the pieces that we talked about, like your Channeling Shoulders, you know, your gems and all that. What can I do with this build, Blood? What can Barb do in general? Barb has some crazy, crazy good builds this season. Again, I'm gonna fill the description with just, you know, builds for you guys, but let's go over some of that right now. You can play Whirlwind Barb. We have a video on the channel. It's the best Barb build right now by far. It's crazy strong, and I'd recommend it for, you know, a spin to win good time, I guess. You can play Seismic Slam Barbarian. It utilizes the Might of the Earth set. Attacks crazy fast. I always say this is Super Saiyan Blue because it's just the blue effect and you feel crazy and you're always Wrath of Berserker, and it's more active than Whirlwind Barb, but it's about maybe 4 GRs weaker, something like that. But it's still an A tier build. All these builds are going to be like A and S tier. So Whirlwind Barb's S tier. I'll work on a tier list. I'm working on it. Seismic Slam should be strong A tier for sure. Really powerful. You can play Hoda Barbarian. So I think we talked about Remorseless earlier in the video. The Remorseless got buffed. So it really buffed the Hoda Barbarian. This is a Lod Hoda version of the build, and it hits like a truck. It feels really satisfying to play. You know, it's like getting the hammer in Super Smash Bros. Just like ding, 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 ding. Really, really fun build if you've never played it before, especially. You can see, watch this pack just get obliterated here. Group them up and hold down Hoda. Hoda smash. Yeah, feels good. So the Seismic Slam, Hoda, and Whirlwind Barb specifically got buffed this season, but you can still play Leapquake, Raycore Hoda, and things like that. Like a lot of the older builds are still there. Charge Barb are still viable. They're just more like in that B tier. And then all the Barbs this season got pushed to the A tier or even S with Whirlwind. You can run speed comps. This is like a 800 to 1,000 Paragon with no augments. So it looks even better than this. This was like early PTR testing. We have a video on speed comps. In this video, I have videos from other creators in the community. I think I have Rob's video. Lexi helped him. Lexi and Rax worked on stuff. I have their links in the description. So I have a video on this, and I'm linking other people's videos because I think a lot of us are going to run Barb speed comps next season, and I want you guys to have all the information possible, and I want to make it a good season, and I think we're all going to be running Barbs, or at least a lot of us, and we want to have the knowledge to run that effectively, okay? So check the description of the speed video. I have links for even more videos so you get all the news and all the information. Yeah, triple Barb speed comp. Who's ready? I'm so ready for next season. So in conclusion, Barb is an amazing choice next season. You got a crazy good bounty build, a crazy good speed farming build for keys, a crazy good push build, an actual speed meta build. You're also in the push comp, like you play support in the push comp, but so you're basically in every facet of the game, and yeah, it's a very good choice. I'm gonna main Barb myself. I think that's why I took extra time with this video to get it right, and because this is also like my strategy, what I'm gonna be doing. I took extra time to get it right. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to our latest patron, Barbara. Yo, Barbara, thank you for joining the patrons, and all the new subs on YouTube as well. Thank you guys for that as well. And Twitch subs, supporters all across the board. Thank you guys for everything that you do. I stream Diablo 6 days a week, twitch.tv/bloodshed. I do a weekly podcast. The weekly podcast might be the tier list if I feel confident that we got the final patch notes. So that's good, but it might be that as long as I feel confident what I'm saying is true. That's why I've been holding off so long, because it's been a roller coaster if you've been following the season, ups and downs with the patches getting buffed and nerfed and buffed again. So yeah, maybe Tuesday for that. Anyway, have a great season, my Barbs out there. Links in the description. This is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.